Hey, hey. Okay. For some reason, this isn't going full screen. What is the deal? Here we go. That should work better. Oh, no, it didn't. It didn't. Okay. This is going to be so funny because if I'm not able to see the chats, that'd be so funny. I just talked to myself. Hey. Oh. Guten Morgen. Happy New Day. Grand Rising. Hey, hey. Kimberly from Utah. Yay. Hey, Kimberly. Some of you think that my premieres every Thursday are live, but they're actually pre-recorded. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to get on here and just get to know you guys better and actually be able to interact with you live. Yeah. Kaylee. Hey. Yay. All right. So it is about 9:30 here in Texas in the morning. I know a lot of you are around the way, girls, maybe boys too. Tracy, yay! She's over in Australia. She's like, "What time you on? I don't know whether to go to bed or not." Okay. So what I thought I would do, yay, Anne in Japan. Yay. Hi. Oh, Christy. Oh, it's Happy Catterday. What are you talking about? It's not Saturday. Lena. So, okay. I know that a lot of you are looking to do Melissa in North Dakota. Awesome. Awesome. So a lot of you are looking to do this type of work. And sometimes I scratch my head like, what in the world happened between my corporate job and now? Like, how did this happen? Because I do remember, you know, working 9 to 5 and being like going to meetings all the time and having to, striving for, whatever my end result was that day, my goals and things I needed to get done. Um, I was once very driven, I guess. And hey, Paula. Um, so yeah, so it's just so crazy to go from there to here. I'm not even the same person. Hey, Jen. So, and I think we're doing some, if you guys, Makiken, um, some of you, if you guys are kind of irritable right now, if you're having some kind of shitty things happen, kind of like just irritated and just like, grr, I really honestly feel that we're leveling up and we're purging all those parts of us that just don't resonate anymore. It's like um we're calling ourselves out on our own BS. And it's a really good thing. Hey, Tay. Uh yeah, I just think that, we're just taking a really good look at it. Like, is this really how I want to live? Is this really how I want to be? Is this really how all of it? We're questioning all of it. And I think we're meant to at this time. Obviously, it's the Great Awakening. So, and I think we are having some solar flares as well that are solar flares. They make you get anxiety and it's all opportunity and everything's in divine timing. So, through times like this, we trust that everything's happening just as it should. It's nothing's ever really going wrong because God's got its finger on the pulse of everything and is causing everything to happen synchronistically. So, you lock yourself out of your apartment, or you go around the block a couple times when you were just going to go this way and then you ended up going back around the other way. It's all meant to be to get us aligned with, and it's all, if you tried to analyze it all, there would be no way you could do it. Like you could never, this is just such evidence that God knows what it's doing, because you could never know what's going on in this. Okay, so somebody's sitting in their car and they're thinking about going and getting groceries at the place that you go to get groceries, right? And they're in their car and they're talking to somebody and they decide, instead of arguing with this person, I am just going to come from a place of love and say, I'm listening. Yes, and I da 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 da. Because of that decision, the conversation is shorter than it normally would have been, but it also feels good. So they're in an open-hearted space, and they're like, "Wow, that felt good to really speak my piece, but do it from a kind, calm, loving place," and they're impressed by themselves. And so they walk into the grocery store at perfect timing because you drove around the block a couple times, or something broke down, or something went wrong. You guys run into each other at the end of the aisle, and you, like, wow, you look at each other and you smile, and all of a sudden it's like, wow. And if that person that was just in the car talking to whoever wouldn't have done that, they wouldn't have been in such a lifted mood to look up and smile at you, and there wouldn't have been this connection, kind of thing. I know I make everything about love. But I'm just saying, everything works out just like it's supposed to, even when it seems like things are kind of not so great, that they're going wrong. So anyway, what if I have to go to the bathroom? What am I going to do? Just let you guys hang while I go? I'm like, why did I have all that to drink this morning? I already have to pee. I would just go hold it as long as I can. That's one thing about lives. At least you guys know I'm really actually here right now. You could like reach out and touch me if you could. So if you are going through kind of a wonky time right now, then just realize it's all working out like it should. Try to clear your energy, clear your home, sage. You just don't judge yourself. If there's any kind of inner dialogue going, don't let it be self-critical. Let it be like, it's perfectly, absolutely okay that you're feeling this way. Of course you're feeling this way. Feel it, just really embrace it. Let yourself feel it. So anyway, how this started out. Oh, thanks. She's like, "Go ahead and pee." It's not that bad. It's like on a scale of 1 to 10, it's like a 2 or 3. So I'm all right for a minute. You just lit your sage, of course. Isn't it crazy how tied we are to each other? We're all incredibly unique, which is so amazing, because it'd be so boring if everybody was walking around like the Stepford Wives or something. Be like, oh my gosh. So yeah, it's incredible that we're all unique, but at the same time we're all one, because there aren't any of us that are having some kind of unique thought that everybody else isn't experiencing too, or has experienced. Nothing. There's nothing new on the planet. There's nothing new you can possibly think. There's nothing new you could possibly do. It's all been done before. So it just goes to show you that, as cool as it is that we have our own unique personalities, and that's why it's so important to be those own unique personalities and don't try to be anybody else, is because that's like the only thing that separates us from just being, the same voice, the same, and we are anyway, but I'm just saying. And that's one of the things I was going to talk about today, is that when I got into, I would have been really, really overwhelmed and really scared if I would have compared myself with other people along this path, because it's like, I don't know how to explain. Okay, so when I first started out, I'd been told from certain friends for years, like, "Oh, you're so intuitive," and I used to be like, "No, I'm not. What are you talking about?" I lived in a haunted house for almost 10 years. I don't know, I sensed things or whatnot. I seriously, I didn't think, that there was anything special about me at all. And I'm not just being modest. I just honestly didn't. I still don't. Honest to God, guys. I seriously. I still look at myself as just a regular person, and I'm really surprised sometimes by how accurate I am. And I'll be in readings going, "Oh my god, I'm actually really good." It's like, well, duh. We all go through that though. I'm just saying. I'm totally, I've been there because I know a lot of you say, "Oh, but I'm not like you," or "You're just healing quickly because you're a healer, and you're just doing this because of that." And I'm like, "No, no, no, no." I forget that I'm intuitive with my friends. My friends have to be like, I mean, some of you guys know in the chat, you are my friends. And sometimes you're like, "Well, could you feel into it for me?" I'm like, "Oh, oh yeah, yeah, of course." But at the same time, I may forget that I have like these tools that I can use, these intuitive tools that I can use, but it's really a natural part of me too. So I'll spout stuff off, not even thinking I'm being intuitive, and I'll go blah 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 blah, and they'll go, "Whoa, I just did that," or "Whoa, I just said that. Oh my gosh." But that's more about being aligned with life. That's like being synchronistic and aligned with God. So it just starts to happen really naturally. Anyway, so let's go back to the beginning. Started off pretty much in Texas, I would say. I'd been intuitive and kind of practiced in the corporate world. I always had fun with it in the corporate world. Because I had all these crazy things happening in my life, and I would tell them to my friends and see who's open and who's not. And then we would practice, and I'm like, "Do you have a cat?" And somebody would be like, "Yes." I think your cat wants something to warm up by. Do you have like a heating pad you can put under its blanket or something? They're like, whoa, that's what's been going on. Okay. So I've always kind of played around with it just to see. Hey, Mary. Um, so okay, so we're not doing a Q&A. We're getting to know Amy today. And anything that could help you along my story with whatever you're going to be going through. So, how to enhance your intuitive abilities or do what I've done to basically build a business kind of similar to mine or something. So, I'm not going to make this into the normal Q&A or anything like that. That's on Thursdays. And you could always submit a question during my Q&A or for my Q&A by going to my website, going to the services, and then click Ask Amy Q&A, and you can order a question there. Okay. So, having said that, I would say like I was always interested in it, and I wished that I could talk to my guides. I wished that I could hear them. I wished that I could do all that I do now. Basically, I wanted it to happen, but I didn't. I had no clue how to do any of this or why other people were like so good at it, or like I was baffled by it and impressed by it. And I even had my bouts of thinking it was bad because religion. They'll always do that to you when they get the opportunity because they judge themselves and they don't love themselves. So, yeah, I went through that phase as well. I've always had really weird supernatural things kind of going around me, but most people ignore them. And I was paying attention because I was really interested in all this stuff. So, finally, I decided, um, I don't know. I was actually, it kind of started when I got a divorce, and I mean, I was an animal communicator. I did an animal business for a while. I was a pet parenting consultant. Isn't that cute? So I would actually go in people's homes and I would help them to figure out what was going on with their animals. And I was a positive reinforcement animal trainer. So I'd go in their homes and I would take a look at the food they're feeding their animal, and I would take a look at the habits, where they sleep, what could be going wrong that's causing the behavioral issues, la 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 la. So I did that for a while. And then I couldn't bring myself to call myself a pet communicator, but I eventually got up the nerve to do that in Texas, in Granbury. Granbury is a cute little town. I love Granbury. Anyway, so I was in Granbury, met a naturopath. She started to have me work on some of her clients, and her clients were raving about me. We're just like, "Oh my gosh," and I didn't have enough confidence back then to really feel like I could do anything special for anybody. And she really helped me boost my confidence because she was just like, "I believe in you, Amy, and you're really intuitive. I think you should start seeing some of my clients." And so when I did though, and they were having these incredible reports, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, like I got to meet you. This is incredible." Like some of the people, had heard about me, or it just started spreading basically. And that tends to kind of happen when you're aligning with your life purpose. Things just kind of start happening because God wants you to be doing it. So God starts attracting all of this stuff to you. And then so then there was like a little juice bar that opened up, and they had heard about me, and they said, "Hey, Colleen, it's a very good thing you're here today because I'm talking about things you'd be very interested in." Monique, hi. So basically, this juice bar opened up, and they said, "We're going to have practitioners in the juice bar if you want to be a part of it." And we've heard about what you do through, I think, maybe the naturopath, or maybe the naturopath that told somebody else, or I don't know. Um, and they said, if you want to work part-time in the juice bar, and I had just gotten a divorce, and so I really needed the money. And I was like, yeah, even if it's part-time, I'll do it. And then you had like a day where it was like your day to do your, sessions. And they made you charge, I think it was like $100 for the session or something. And I was like, oh, $100. Like what? Like in the corporate world, I could easily charge people like $9,000 a month for rent because I got it. And they had to have assistance with daily living and all the stuff. So I could do that no problem. But charging for $99 for what I did, that it scared me at first. But I was like, well, they're all doing it. So I guess I'm going to do it. And then what I would do is I would just ask everybody for testimonials if they had them. You know, they'd say, "Oh my gosh, that was the most relaxed I've been in a long time. That was just so incredible. Oh my gosh, thank you so much." And I would say, "Do you mind putting that on paper or sending that to me in an email?" And they'd say, "Well, of course, yes, of course." And so, might be uncomfortable to ask that at first, but once you get used to it, then it's like it's no big deal. And I'll do it for other people as well. So it just started building from there. I was going to a little cafe still in Granbury, and I got the manager agreed to let me. Hey Ed, the manager agreed to let me do free readings every Friday from like 12 to 2, I think it was. Isn't that funny? And I couldn't get anybody to come over. I was sitting there alone forever. And I would have like this little this little vase of flowers on the table with free readings right on it. Nobody would come over. And I was just sitting there going like doo 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 crickets. Um if they only knew, you know? So this went on for a while. Then people would tell me, "Hey, there's a psychic show going on." Oh, show, a psychic show. Oh, no, no, no. With other people who are actually professionals at this? I don't know. I don't think so. It's funny what we do. And then I was like, well, all right, maybe I'll do it. And then, of course, I go to the show and, oh, I just love your energy, and your table is so beautiful. I've always had pink and sparkly, and yeah, anything. It was, I've always had a fairy feel to everything I do. And I'd go, and people would start lining up, and I'm like, what, for me? What? This is what? You know? And I'd hear somebody over there like speaking some kind of angel language, and I'm like, oh, I'm not like that. Somebody over there would have some kind of instrument. Oh, I can't do that. Somebody over there would be toning, and I'd be, oh, I can't tone, But then I kept saying, you know what, Amy, just do you. Just do you, period, unapologetically, because nobody else will ever be you. So if you're you, everybody can else, everybody, whatever, everybody, even if they all are the same thing, they're all those angel people that do the whatever they're doing. Even if they do the exact same thing, the exact same modality, and they went to the exact same teacher, took the exact same course. Hey Beth, everybody is going to do it in their own flavor, and they're going to do it different. So it doesn't even matter how many millions of psychics there are out there, or how many millions of people who do that thing that you do, even mechanics. Even if you go to a mechanic, oh my, you guys know. Some mechanics you go to and it's like, oh, what a curmudgeon, or that guy's going to try to screw me over. And then you go to another mechanic that's like, hey, I trust you with anything. Do what you want. I'm going to go do this over here and come back, and I know it's going to be taken care of. So we just tend to be drawn to who we feel like are more aligned with us, aligned with themselves. And we just keep attracting, more and more opportunities. Coffee with Amy. I don't have coffee, but I got my coconut water. I got a pineapple coconut water here. Um, and I don't dare drink anything because I already have to pee. Anyway, so yeah, that's pretty much just how it went. And then and then it's so funny. Whenever you make a major change, everybody thinks it's a guy. So they were I I started to feel a draw to go to. This was crazy. This was crazy how this even happened, because I'm trying to trace it back. Okay. I used to want to go to India. I wanted to go to India, and I wanted to meet like a real guru. And I had been enlightened for 6 months. A lot of you already know that. And it was back in the day when I was living in the haunted house, that one haunted house. I was enlightened in that house when I lived there. It was a long time ago. It was Kent, Washington. So, and I've lived everywhere. I've been like a gypsy. So, what was that? Where was I going with that? I don't remember. I just totally jumped out of my head. Anyway, I was gonna, thank you. Thank you, Spirit. All right. So I was wanting to go to India really bad, and I didn't want to actually go to India necessarily. I've heard it stinks really, really bad. And I've also was just like intimidated by how busy the streets are. I mean, I've seen it in the movies, and I've heard about it, and so I was just like, I don't know if I want to go to India. I want to go to India, but I wish I could just teleport there, just boop, be with a guru or something, and skip the other stuff. But I just had this email pop up around the time when I was thinking that, and it said, bring India to you. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I was just thinking that. How is that possible? And I opened it up, and it said, a guru is coming from India to your town. And it was only like an hour away. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, the guru came here. And I thought, I just want a blessing from a guru, is what I was thinking. I just want a blessing from a guru. I want like a real guru. I want a blessing from that person. Back then, I was calling them blessings. So, and sure enough, when I went to this woman, she knew that I'd been enlightened. She was super intuitive. She like pegged me. She actually pointed at me and told her assistant something, and she knew. I know she knew, and the experience was incredible. But when I left, I had this little Moldavite in my pocket. And Moldavites, man, Moldavites, they'll take you from where you are to where you're going so smooth and so fast, you won't even notice you did it. And I just remember when I left that retreat, I was feeling that aligned state, that really just very awake and calm and trusting, and just a beautiful, beautiful energy when I left there. Not quite enlightened, but close, real close. So just super, super at peace. And then it just popped in my head, snow-capped mountains. And a friend called me who's also really intuitive, and she's like, Amy, I think you're moving somewhere with snow. And I was like, whoa, I just saw that. And I thought, it's that Moldavite, dang it, because I just bought that Moldavite, and I knew it was going to do something to me. And be careful when you buy a Moldavite. Be ready for your life to change. Jen knows all about this one. So yeah, I get, so the Moldavite, the vision, the friend saying that while I would, just after I got the vision, or right around the same time I got the vision, I said, I know where I'm going. She goes, well, where are you going? And I said, Boulder. And this is that naturopath friend. And she's like, you're moving to Boulder. She goes, well, do you know anybody there? I was like, no. Do you know where you're going? No, I just know that it's Boulder. Well, and I knew it was kind of like the Mecca for psychics. It's like It's like where you go if you want a real psychic, you go to Boulder, Colorado. That's just something I'd always heard. So I thought that's maybe why I was going, but at the same time, there was a spiritual teacher there that I thought I want to go, to some kind of a something that they put on too, or anyway. So I went to Boulder, and everybody thought it was for a guy or something, and I was like, no, I'm just following an intuitive prompting. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Melissa says, I just wanted to tell you that you did a reading for my daughter and I at the Lighthouse Bookstore about 8 years ago on Pearl Street. That's what I'm talking about. That's where I went. So I got there and I ended up working. I just kept, I had so much anxiety because, I've had PTSD and I was just like, what am I doing? I don't know where I'm going. I don't know anything. And I don't, and I had something lined up and it felt like a place to stay, and it fell to pieces when I got there. So I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even have a place to stay. I don't even, nothing. And so I just kept saying, thank you, God, for all the incredible options. Thank you for all the incredible options. I kept saying, I replaced the fear with thank you for all the incredible options. And then boop, boop, boop. All of a sudden, I was like overwhelmed with all these incredible options. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is wow. And then things started to roll. And then I was like, I want to bring money in so that I'm not worried about that. But I didn't have a job. So I was like, how am I going to find a place? How do I can't even say that I have a job. How do you get a place to live if you don't have a job? But I kept replacing that with thank you for all the options. Sure enough, I got a place that cut my rent by $300 because they liked me. They didn't have me sign anything. I didn't have to sign a lease. I didn't have to sign an agreement. They bought me a brand new bed. Like, it really started lining up. But I was like, holy cow. And then since I didn't want that pressure of build up my business really fast so that I could bring in income, I just felt like it was the smarter thing to do to just get an income coming in, cover the expenses, and then I can figure out a plan as to how to create my career, kind of thing. So I worked for Home Depot. I worked for Home Depot, and I thought, it doesn't hurt to learn how to fix things in your home. And so I've always loved going in there. Those types of places, I love those places. So I went there and I started to work at the Lighthouse Bookstore too. And that was crazy too. Everything was just really crazy how it happened because there was somebody else lined up to go to an interview at the Lighthouse Bookstore, and I just happened to go at that time that other person was expected. And the manager thought that I was the other person. We actually didn't figure it out until I was hired that I wasn't the person she was expecting. The other person never showed up. So I got the job. And she said that her and the owner had a special feeling about me. They knew I was really going places and that I needed a special leg up. So, and it just like blossomed from there. It was incredible. I started building a reputation. I eventually started to, yeah, buy some moldavite, get some moldavite. So I started getting a lot of people that were, filling up my time slots at the lighthouse, and I was substituting for other readers. Eventually I got the ideal spots. Everybody wanted Friday and Saturday, and there became an availability for it, and I got it. I couldn't believe it because there were other people there had been doing it a lot longer than I had and had been there longer, but they really believed in me. And so then I had a podcast I did for a while that's still on Spotify. You guys can find it on Spotify. It's called The Satori Show. Then I did a radio show on, oh, what do you call it? Something business talk radio or something like that. And I made a friend with the host, is still my friend. He lives in New York. So I don't know. It's just been quite an adventure. It's been really fun. And I've just, I had all these moments where I was like, should I talk about fairies? Should I talk about true love? Should I talk? You remember that? Wow. Yeah. So, like, should I, all these things, all these moments where I could go this way or go that way and go this way or go that way. And I always said to myself, be you. My bell just went off at the front door. So I think that that's the thing that God appreciated about what I was about is I just kept making that decision. Be me. Do you believe in fairies? I do. The Satori Show is how you learned about me. Wow. Some of you have been around for so many years. Some of you, it's so cool that some of you remember that. Oh yeah, and I got 5 years in a row in Boulder. I got the best psychic in Boulder award, and they, in fact, from what I understand, they created the award for me. There wasn't even a category for best psychic back then. Isn't that amazing? So, um, yeah, so then I just kept saying, "Do you believe in fairies?" "Yeah." "Well, then help other people believe in fairies." "Do you believe in unicorns?" "Yes." "Okay, help other people believe in unicorns." "Leprechauns?" "Yes." You know? "Do you believe you can talk to screws and nails and walls?" "Yeah, I do." "Okay, then, help other people believe in this." So that became like my mission. And then eventually, spirit was, I was just like, well, what's my niche? Every other people are really great at astrology, and I've never been really great at that or anything. And other people were, I don't know, everybody had like their niche or something they were really good at. And I was told one day, it was incredible. It was like this miracle. I asked God to show me, what is it I'm supposed to specialize in? What is my niche? And oh my gosh, I came in and I was absolutely slammed that next Saturday, I think it was. I was slammed. I had the most readings anybody had ever had, and they all signed up in advance. And every single one of them, it still gives me goosebumps. Every single one of them, when they sat down, had one subject they freaking wanted to talk about. I'm not even kidding you. And guess what that subject was? I want to know my true love. So, and then amazing, studied in Boulder in 83 with the Emin before your time. Wow. Oh, your home clearing was the best. Oh, thank you. Awesome. Yeah, I was doing home cleaning or home cleaning. Well, that too. Home clearings back then. I would go to people's homes and do that too. So, yeah, yeah. I forgot where I was going again. But anyway, it basically, I just kept not being afraid to be who I am every step of the way. And I think that that was the ticket. I think that was the key. So, do you guys have any questions about any of all of that? Because I want to make this more interactive than some, lecture or talk. Like, are any of you thinking of starting a business, or are any of you kind of at a crossroads as well? Because I want to be here for you. Why don't you think about it while I go pee, okay? Think about what you want to ask me. Can you tell if someone is psychic themselves? Oh, absolutely. We all are. We're born that way. So I'll be right back. Yep, that's our nature. Hey, Dagmar, you're amazing. You lift us up. Love and hugs. Oh, thank you to all the star seeds out there. Yeah, we're all psychic. We're all, that's the one thing that those guys don't want us to believe or to know. is we're all incredibly psychic. We just have to get past our own self-doubt. That's really it. The more that we practice it, the better you get at it. You have to kind of like learn to turn on your spidey senses in a way. You got to walk into places and just kind of say, okay, what's not being said? What's going on in the background I'm not paying attention to. And then it's just cool. And then when you get brave enough to go ahead and say something that you feel or that you sense, the other person will go, whoa, I was totally thinking that, or I was trying to decide whether I should do that or not. That just confirmed it for me. Then it confirms both of you that you were right in your hunch, and that they were right in their hunch that you confirmed. So you start building more confidence as you go like that. Hi, Eva from Jordan. Cool. Um, how does a person know if they have the ability to communicate with animals? I'm not sure if this is an appropriate question. Absolutely, yeah. Um, so we can all talk to animals. We can all talk to trees. We can all talk to walls. We can all talk to a couch. We can talk to our drink. We can talk to anything. Everything is alive. Everything has consciousness to it. Even a robot. It's all, I hate to even bring that up because how much, I mean, there are good ones too. We have to remember there are good robots too. All, there's a robot kitty litter box, and it has all the bells and whistles and stuff. And then I was just like, but it's a robot, and I'm really leery about AI right now. What is it going to watch me all the time, listen to me all the time? Is something. So let's see what you're saying. Darn twin flames. That's how I found you. I know. Oh, and that's what I was going to say. My other specialty popped up around that time too. Because let's see. Hi, Amy. When you said earlier that you had an awakening, what exactly does that mean? What does it look like? Oh my gosh, my favorite subject on the planet. Um, let's see. I wanted to see fairies, so I'm gonna just okay. So I'll tell you about all of it. Well, okay. I'm gonna try to remember. Help me remember to talk about enlightenment, please, because I'm going to talk about the other subject real quick. When you can talk to an animal or when you can pick up on things, it starts to become a language that you just like HTML. You have to learn HTML and what that means. That's computer code, right? You have to learn like all the different languages. Intuition is a language, and it's a subtle language. It's like it's very soft and whispery, and you wouldn't notice if you're not paying attention. If you have too much noise in your head, you're not going to catch it. So it becomes a thing where you start to like your thing may be more audio, or it may be more visual, or it may be all these different things. But you go with what you know and what you're good at. So if you hear things but you don't see things, then go with the hearing. And you basically start getting a relationship with your guides to where you tell them, if I hear 3 knocks, it's confirmation for me. Or if I have an exercise here on YouTube. It's called the Divine Guidance Council Meeting. You can always look that up and practice that. But you just learn how to interact with what you're seeing, sensing, feeling, and everything becomes like you can establish a legend. Like green means this color means that, this number means that, looking to the right is this, looking to the left is that, and it starts to become your own private communication between you and spirit, and it is very private and personal. It's not like threes don't mean the same thing for everybody across the board, nor should they, because spirit goes by your own experience to translate things too. So if somebody has a bad experience with eating an orange, and somebody else loves oranges, you're going to have a different reaction to it, and it's going to mean something different. So spirit, depending on your history, this is the incredible thing about intuition. Depending on your history, you're going to be shown things from your past, which is really also in the present moment. You're going to be shown things that remind you of something that gives you the idea to talk to the person about, whoever you're talking to about. And that's the cool thing too about intuition, is you want to give. It comes to you and it goes out to the person or the situation that you're in. So it's very interactive, and I love that about it. It's not just something that you're translating and you keep it to yourself usually. It's usually something you want to share with someone or something you want to do something about, Like you're being prompted to do something or nudged to do something or to, this is why this animal is suffering or whatnot. So once you figure out how to kind of talk code to spirit, your yes and your no are the most important right off the bat. You got to figure that out. And I tell you how to in that exercise. And from there, you can ask questions. If you're trying to talk to an animal, is the animal too hot, too cold? And then you might even have like, if you're having a comparison, like that example, too hot, too cold is here, right? So you just ask spirit, is it too hot or too cold? And then you take your fingers down like this, and then you might see like it's not like it may not be like a real visual, but you can feel energy going up there or going up here to affirm either or. Or I'll put a comparison. Sometimes if you guys say, should I live here or live there? I'll put it up here like this. I'll go live here or live there or live there or live there or live there. I'll go back and forth several times sometimes to see which one starts to gather and become bigger or which if it's not real super obvious, sometimes it's like a yes, absolutely that. And sometimes it's like, well, and even that means something because spirit's trying to tell you either place would work, but this one would be better. So it'll show that way visually. It'll be like, it could be this one or it could be that one. It's not you being confused. So you have to get rid of the self doubt. You feel both out, and then this one becomes bigger. So you're like, that's the one ultimately with everything, you know, to consider. Okay, and then you can talk to animals and figure, you can talk to why your bushes aren't growing like they should, or why, you just start to figure everything out. And God is speaking through your intuition to you, which God is consciousness, is all of us. It's in all of us. It's within us. So, yeah, the spirit of God is within us, and that's our intuition. That's what we listen to. So the more that you can learn to do that, you're basically talking to God all the time. I call it holding hands with God, which leads to the enlightenment conversation. Aw, thank you, Lena. She's asking everyone to put out some purely loving energy for me. Now, it's probably because there's really wonky energy going out there, and it's really, really easy for people to get irritated right now. So maybe some people are getting irritated with me. Who knows? That's okay. They can just turn me off. Okay. So, and fairies too. Fairies as well. Fairies or yeah, any of it. Um, Inner work to do on removing blocks. Yeah, that can be a thing too. Feeling like you this constant thing about blocks. That's why I like doing Byron Katie's work is whenever something comes up, you can work it through and things just become easier and easier and easier and easier. You kind of like your mind is knotted in Byron Katie's work or thank you God for my misery. Those like loosen up all the knots so eventually, like nothing really triggers you or tricks you, or it just your life becomes smooth and quite humorous. Actually, you become a lot more lighthearted, take things a lot lighter. Okay, enlightenment. Um, I I enlightened from Eckhart Tolle's book, A New Earth. I would highly advise not to listen to it. I would say reading it means everything. And some people say he's nefarious. I say, who gives a crap? Because there are a lot of nefarious things. Almost everything out there is nefarious or was created by the Nefarians. So we have to figure out what our takeaway is from it. So for me, it was enlightenment. So it was worth it. Who cares if it came through a Nefarian? If he is. Anyway, and from what I understand, somebody else wrote the book and then he put his name on it or something. I don't know. But I was reading that book and I was taking it quite seriously and I was like, this is the key to life. This is everything. That like I could feel the truth in it. And I was like just eating it up. So excited to be hearing the truth for once of all of it. This is after I was really religious and all of that. And my mind had really had to open up to read that book. And I think had read another book, Rhea, 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 Rhea something, A Call to the Light Workers. That was awesome. That was it. It's so, if you want to read a book that makes it obvious that it was channeled, that's the book to read because you're like, no human wrote this. There's no way. Anyway, I was reading Eckhart's book, taking it quite seriously, and I really wanted to understand everything he said in there. So I would put a bookmark in there and I would go look and see if it was true, or I would try it to see if it was true. So he says, you become a flower. If you stare at a flower long enough, you become a flower. And I'd be like, become a flower. I haven't seen anybody pop into a flower, so I took it really literally. And then I was like, well, what does he mean though? I mean, he's saying it for a reason. Obviously, we don't turn into flowers. So what does that mean? So I went to a park. Back then, I had a park across the street. It was really cool. So I walked over there and I sat with a flower and I stared and I stared, and that really didn't go anywhere. I just thought the flower was really beautiful, but that was it. So then I like laid on a park bench and I looked up at a tree, and the sun was shining through the trees and it was so beautiful that it was like watching I don't know, like, I don't, it just took me away. And I was just staring at the light play and the beautiful leaves, and everything about that tree was so beautiful. And I thought, what would it mean if I became this tree? And I thought, oh, if I became this tree, that means that I'm feeling the tree as if I am the tree, right? And it clicked. You become one with everything because you understand everything from its own perspective. You have respect for things because you can empathize with it in a sense, and you can see what it is to be a tree. So you imagine being the tree and being like, wow, look, I'm so tall above everyone and they're down there, and what would that feel like to have people go by you all the time and not notice you or give you a hug or anything because you're so big. And so I just contemplated that, and I just felt such a peace overcome me. And then it eventually turned into enlightenment. It kind of snuck up on me. I just felt more and more and more and more and more peace, and felt more and more one with everything. And once I was enlightened, and I had a corporate job, a very, very busy, hectic corporate job that I had a lot of rooms to fill. I had like 11 rooms to fill. I was a community relations director. So, and which means marketing director. So, yeah, I had a lot of pressure at that time, and I still took the time to do this, and I still was able to enlighten. And basically, it just felt like God took me over. And when they say live in God's will, that's what I believe they're saying. And when they say the kingdom of God within us, that's where I was living in the kingdom of God within me. I was in this world, but not of it. And I just felt I was completely and totally immersed in that feeling of aliveness in my body. The more you put your attention on it, the bigger it grows. And it gets to the point where you're just kind of just walking peace and walking love. And hey, U-turn. So yeah, I wasn't thinking for 6 months. I did not think anymore. I was just pure instinct walking. And if I interacted with a person, I wasn't thinking about what to say back. I would just say something and it would be the perfect thing. It wasn't me. It was somebody was operating me, and it felt like God was operating me. God was driving the car using my arms and legs and things. So if you're living your life by your own decisions and by you and this personality, God has not inhabited you in that way. You know what I mean? God needs to like come in and take over all the controls. You don't even know what's next. You don't even know where you're going to get, your next meal. And I would be in my office and I'd just think for a moment, gosh, it would be sure nice to have a sandwich right now. And literally somebody would come knock on my door. Hey, Amy, I got an extra sandwich. I made two of them today. Do you want one? So, and that just life became incredibly magical. Things, nothing could rattle me at all. Nothing at all. I mean, I don't care what would, if somebody could have threatened to punch me or something right in my face, and I would have just been loving it, loving that moment and just looking at them like, oh, you know, like there was no concern at all for myself or my own safety or anything about me at all. Nothing. I was gone. I wasn't even there. I was just God walking around in this Amy body. And so you just know things. You know a lot of things that you wouldn't normally. I talk to some people who say that they actually were healing people at that time. Well, that thought never dawned on me back then. So I probably could heal people, but I didn't. I don't know. I just that wasn't in my brain at the time, I guess. I wasn't in my experience. I didn't even think about healing people or people being able to, yeah, and it just didn't even dawn on me to do that. So I didn't. Isn't that funny? But I always knew the perfect thing to say. And sometimes I'd get right to the point. I'd be talking to somebody and they'd be complaining about something. And I would just say something and they'd start crying, like, how in the world did you know that? I remember driving one time and realizing I wasn't driving, that it wasn't me operating the vehicle. And so there was a little part of the old me, like Amy was there, but she was way back observing what was happening with her, like that she'd been taken over. So, and that's what they don't want us to know is that's who we really are, you guys. That's what we're being driven to be right now. This whole ascension is taking us here to this, to where we are one with God. Isn't that incredible? And everything is so freaking easy. You don't have to overthink anything. It's just like you just glide through life. Everything works out just miraculously. You're just a walking miracle. Everything. And I'm talking you couldn't possibly get in a car accident. You couldn't possibly have anything go wrong. Nothing could possibly harm you. Nothing could, nothing could touch you when you're that present in the moment and one with God. There's no way. You're ultimately, completely, utterly protected. And there are variations of that. It's not like you have to be completely enlightened to be that protected, but the more you are present in the moment, the more you are completely, and you get all the answers that you need. How did you learn how to recognize or know about black magic and how to deal with it? Um, well, that was a really good one to figure out because I think until you figure out the black magic thing, you think it's actually you. You think that you're going crazy, or you think that like, why is everything going wrong with me? What did I do wrong? How did I manifest this? Why is everything screwed up right now? But then you learn that these Nefarians actually have practiced for many years how to harvest our energy. And if you want to learn more about that, watch Solara Speaks. It's a great YouTube channel, and she really goes into detail about black magic and how that works. But they feed off of us. They take us to a high, then they crash us down to a low, so it crushes us, and then they bring us back up again, and then it crashes back down. So they've been playing with our energy behind the scenes for a long time. But when we become aware of it, they can't do it anymore, or they can do it, but it falls flat because you learn to laugh at it, or you learn to do energy work to clear it, or you smudge. You dance around and you laugh and you play and you shake it off and you just do what you can. Sometimes it feels like a really hard uphill battle to fight it. But once you roll the boulder over the other side, it's like, oh, okay, now I'm back to being me. So you have to become pretty self aware to acknowledge and see that, you know what, this isn't me. This isn't how things usually go for me. These aren't thoughts that I normally think. And that's something that I noticed when I was in that enlightened state also is there were thought forms given to me by, I believe it's negative AI or sin. Sin means off the mark, not quite hitting it, not quite being aligned with God. So when you're in sin, you're listening to the ego, basically. It's like, are you listening to the devil or are you listening to the angel on your shoulder, right? So when you have no thought, you can't entertain anything like that. So I would see thought forms come through and I could tell, I could just sense and I could feel that it was going to try to make me afraid of something. So I wouldn't even look. And that protected me. So it's the same thing with black magic. Like these negative entities will come in with a thought form and try to tempt you to be afraid of something or to doubt something or to doubt yourself or whatever, or even suicide comes up. Things like that will like it's all along whatever your sensitivity is, whatever you would be afraid of or whatever would get you triggered. They know just what that is and they will present it. And you have to look at that and say, that's not me. Maybe that used to be something I used to think about. Maybe I used to be in a state of lack or whatever, but I identify differently now. Now I believe in myself and now I believe in the law of attraction and now I believe so you have to recognize it and acknowledge where you are now versus where, wherever they got that from, your past somewhere. So you just become more aware and then you play around with how to fix it, what to do about it, and there's placebos that help you fix it too. Like sometimes, like I made a necklace. I have a necklace. I didn't make it, but the energetic work that went behind it was tremendous. And it's an expensive necklace, but you have it for your whole entire life. And I believe it's going to be very, very strong for people. So you could have a necklace like that, or you can go to somebody to have it removed, or you can play a black magic removal. I have one of those, a black magic removal video here on YouTube that I've also heard people have really great results with. So, it depends on what your belief system is as to what's going to work for you. Okay, so hi, Miss Amy. I've been watching your show for a couple of years. You're a blessing to watch and listen to. Your energy is so positive. Many blessings to you and your subscribers. Thank you so much. That's Marty up there. So yeah, good. You laugh at it all. That's really important. Okay, Patty. Yes, Carrie Underwood. Would Jesus take the wheel? Yeah, totally. Exactly. That gives me chills. Yep. E.K. Prescott. My son told me to not come near or communicate with his family. Okay, so I would put that in the Ask Amy Q&A because that's not what this is about right now. This is about getting to know me. And it's also about how my life path can benefit you somehow. So if you want to know something, like if you want more clarifying or clarification on the things I'm talking about, we'll go there. But if you have a question like that about somebody or about a situation that you want me to read into, then I do that on Ask Amy's. So go to my services page on my website. You have to become a member to do that. So go on services and then go to Ask Amy and you can ask your question there. So drink a beer and say cheers. You're very smart. Good on your words. Thank you. So, any questions about enlightenment? I'll tell you, it doesn't feel like you're human at all. Not even close. I even wondered how I'd make a living because all I ever wanted to say to somebody was, shh. I was like, God, how am I gonna pay rent on a place? Like telling everybody to just shush. So that was one of the things that kind of knocked me out of enlightenment, actually. This is where they say, like, the Bible says you gotta drop everything and follow me. You really do have to not care anymore about anything. You can't have any more cares or concerns. It just has to be like, I surrender. But the coolest thing is when you do that, when you give it all to God and you say, it's all yours, God, then when God takes you over, all those things magically work out. So some people are like, I don't want to go into the 5D because I'm going to lose my husband or my kids or whatever. No, 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 no. You're going to gain your husband. You're going to gain your kids. Trust me. It's going to be different, a different dynamic. Because like I even had a best friend back then who would come into my office a lot. And she had an issue with me becoming enlightened because I didn't wasn't listening to all the drama anymore. Like the personality Amy was like, "Oh, I can't believe she did that to you. What are you going to do? Are you going to do this, that, or the other thing? You should prove a point. You should, like lots of interaction and drama and empathy and sympathy to, and all of, just being really like a 3D, I guess, as some people call it 3D. So when I became enlightened, I just would lend my beautiful peace and space to that moment. So I would give her God. She'd walk into my office, I would give her God. And that wasn't good enough for her. It wasn't good enough for her. She wanted the drama. She wanted the And so, and that's, the, she didn't realize she was being given an incredible, incredible gift in that moment. And so all kinds of things can knock you out of that enlightenment state. However, you were meant to have that glimpse and that glance at our true selves when you've had that. I'm going to mention psychedelics too, because some people say, oh, I know what enlightenment's about. I've had psychedelics. Well, that can even become a handicap because people get addicted to the psychedelic instead of actually going to God. Because if you don't cultivate it within yourself, having to do anything like that movie Limitless, that guy always had to have that drug and it would help him to be in that state. But if you can cultivate that state within you by just surrendering and being peaceful and being totally in the now, feeling the aliveness in your, feel it right now. Feel the aliveness in your body. Just be aware that you're actually, wow, I'm a living, breathing woman or man, right? This feels incredible. Something's animating me. I'm not moving my eyes. I don't mean to. I'm breathing automatically, and somebody's breathing me, right? The more you can just not worry about the future or the past and just keep yourself right here, this being the most interesting that's ever, the most interesting moment that's ever happened is sitting in this chair talking to you right now. It's got to be that interesting. Wow, this is fascinating, you know? And drop all the rest, and then you'll find that peace. And in these wonky times, we have to start really relying on going within for that peace, holding hands with God when we're scared. Go hide in the closet if there's a hurricane. Just go in there and just be total peace. Just hold hands with God in there. Just, it's not even about faith. It's about just drop it all. Just drop it. Stop thinking. Stop thinking. Drop into your heart. Put your hand on your heart. I'm here. I'm here, and that's it. And the storm will whip around you, but it won't get you. Okay, I have so much respect in your fasting. Oh, huge inspiration to me. Thank you. As I've lost almost 30 pounds now, and I no longer have such a bloated stomach, trying to assist my light body ever here. Awesome. That is incredible. It's, yeah, you know, I've always been one of those people that if somebody said, "Have you ever considered fasting?" I'd say like, "Hell no, I'm not gonna fast. Who fasts?" Like I thought people who fasted were crazy. We evolve with all these different ideas. Um, and yeah, I was one of those people who called everybody a conspiracy theorist back in the day till I realized that I was I'd been duped to believe that. Anyway, fasting, let's touch on that subject. I never thought I'd ever do it until I had cancer and I had to get rid of it and I didn't want it coming back anymore. I got really tired of it, really tired of it. And I heard some guy had gotten rid of it by doing a 21-day fast. I thought, dude, if I could fast for 21 days and be done with it once and for all, then I'm doing it. When you get that desperate, you're just like, I'm sick of it. I'm just sick of it. I've got so many scars all over me from it. So I did it. I did the first 7 days, no food or water. I read the book, A Year Without Food. There's coincidentally, it's written by somebody named Ray. I forget his last name, but just put in Ray and A Year Without Food and you'll find it. Anyway, so that first 7 days was brutal and interesting. And I don't know, it helps to have somebody kind of spot you or be in your environment to go through it with you and get you water if you need or whatever. But you have to play with your mind a lot. it teaches you a lot about self-discipline, and you have to choose positive thoughts. You have to continuously choose positive thoughts. So it teaches you how to be strong in your positivity. And yeah, I got done with that 21 days and man, was I happy. And then I didn't want to go back to eating either because I came to realize that either we're healing or we're digesting. Either or, our bodies are always doing one or the other. When you're digesting something, you're not healing. When you're healing something, you're not digesting. So when we sleep, we're fasting without realizing, we're sleeping 8 or 10 hours or whatever it is. You're fasting for that time because you're not eating. You might be digesting because you might have eaten right before bed. But the minute you stop digesting, you're fasting. So the way that I work it now is I don't eat. I hold off eating for as long as I possibly can. So my breakfast is at 4 in the afternoon, or you know, some days it's two. Some days I'll have some. I'll have a big meal at 2, and then maybe have something a little bit later too. Or sometimes I wait until 5 or 6 to eat. It's different all the time. Some days, sometimes I've gone like 3 days without any food, and then I've eaten, and then I do that again. I did another 21-day fast after that initial one as well. I love fasting. If I find out all the food's taken off of the planet right now, I'd be like, okay, here we go. Here we go. Because it feels good. Your body gets used to it. There are like breathing exercises you can do that help you to stay strong. The things that I would take if I were to go do it again for an extended period would be I'd probably take electrolytes in the morning with like a teaspoon of Celtic sea salt because that'll just give you strength and some energy to start the day with. Um, yeah. So right now we're just experimenting with who we are, what we like, what we're about, trying different things. I mean, there's so much about who I am right now that I never in my life would ever think that I would do. I've been drinking pee. I haven't lately, but I did for a while, for like a couple weeks. That was crazy. That was like, and because there's a guy, what does he call himself? The Plasma King. He calls it plasma, and he talks about it being gold. Like, it is supposed to be like an old ancient secret, like a medicinal secret from way back when that's super powerful. So, oh, you're welcome. Um, the recommendations on breath work. Oh my gosh, there's a guy named Justin, and I don't remember. If you contact me on Instagram, I'll try to find his information for you and send it to you. I just looked on Amazon and I looked for like like so I got some kind of a breath work DVD I haven't watched yet, but I have it there, for when I go to do it. You could do qigong, but you get weak doing qigong too. Qigong is another really awesome thing to do for yourself. Any kind of tai chi or qigong kind of thing, because we get depleted in our energy, and doing something to boost our chi really helps the healing as well, and it helps with everything. It helps with your mentality too. But energy can heal anything. So any kind of energy you can be running through your body is good. Um, okay. Oh, that's funny. I just pulled a Mary Magdalene card. God. So let me read that to you guys. Oh, funny enough, I also have a Jesus card here, a Jesus deck. So I'll read from that too. So we have God and Jesus. God and baby Jesus, who's Yeshua, by the way. Okay, God. I think I have a lot of work to do before I drink my pee. I know. Oh my gosh. I saw one of those, what do they call a wife swap or something, where this woman was drinking her pee, and I was like, oh, that's horrible. How could somebody live like that? But then when I heard this Plasma King talking about it, and I was like, I had to give it a try. It is interesting. It's interesting. Yeah, you do have to get over that. I mean, why do you think the Nefarians have made us so turned off to it, right? Oh, that's what I was going to say. That other specialty, I was going to bring up celebrities because celebrities drink. They drink every fluid you can imagine. They drink pee. They eat poo. I mean, these are celebrities we look up to, right? So those guys know the secret. I mean, I'm just saying these Satanists and Nefarians have been trying to get us really turned off to things that are actually really incredible for us. And that's why they disempower us, helping it, making us feel like we're unworthy of the things that are good for us. And we don't deserve to have a loving relationship and all that other BS. But celebrities were the other thing that I was told I was going to be specializing in. So I wouldn't say like it's necessarily my niche, but I know a lot about that subject. Doctor Group recommended it and it works. Yeah. Yeah. You've used it in your garden. I mean, it's also good for marking your territory like dogs do. It's good for like protecting, self protection. Like if you want to do, if you want to bond with a plant or a tree or something, it's good to put pee at the bottom of the tree and ask for it to start working with you. I've never heard of Doctor Group. See the book Your Own Perfect Medicine. Oh, cool. If you're on Instagram, would you remind me of the title of that? Your Own Perfect Medicine. I love that. Okay, so God. You may be asking, does God really exist? And if so, where is God when I need it the most? Wow, isn't that true in these times? Often it's our times of greatest need that we feel the most alone. This card is your confirmation that you are never alone. The universe has heard your call and wants you to know that the loving presence of the divine creator always fills and surrounds you. Surrender your fears and concerns. Accept the healing light that's being offered to you in this very moment. Out of fear, we often try to swim against the current. This is a waste of time and energy. So true. That's thinking, by the way. Trust, accept, and let go. Though there are bound to be many twists and turns along the way, you'll be pleasantly surprised where the river of life eventually takes you. And then they have like a little thing down here. It says, each life is like an ocean, forever yearning for love's shore. We ebb and flow, not realizing we eternally bathe in the sea of love. True. But our minds have to be quiet. Our minds have to be quiet for us to talk to God and listen to our intuition, and our minds need to be quiet in order for us to allow God to take us over. So the ticket and the key to everything right now, your ultimate protection and your wisdom and your guidance and where to go that's safest, what to eat that's safest, all of it, all of it. The most important factor is being quiet in your mind, and that way you can listen to God, and that way you can have that peace in your heart. So be doing all that you can to quiet your mind. Meditation is, they just said, paramount. All right, so let's look at some Jesus cards. And again, if you guys have any questions about anything I've said so far, please put your question up and I will be happy to answer that for you. Or if you want to ask anything about me, I mean, this is get to know Amy time. What do you want to know about me? What have you always wanted to know? Okay. With God, all things are possible. It's so true. So I translate that as with presence, everything is possible. And it's true. I mean, there's nothing you can't do if you are present in the moment. Absolutely nothing. Christopher Reeves, when he had his accident, he said he blamed it on not being present in the moment. He knew. He said, I had that accident because I came out of the moment. Now, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Oh, that gives me chills because the whole sovereignty movement is about that, standing in peace. We're not warring with the other side because that makes us one of them. But we are the peaceful lambs with a lion's heart, right? So we have to remember to stay peaceful, but stand in our truth, meaning that we don't budge. We know the truth and we know what we're about. We know who we are and what we are, and we're not budging in that. According to your faith, be it done unto you. So you might need to use placebos to get you in faith. And like I said, it's not about faith, it's dropping into your heart and just being totally peaceful. Can you talk about your change in perspective regarding religion? Yeah, that was a big one too. Boy, I am shocked that I ended up so open minded because I was just. Let me just tell you this funny story. I was engaged to this guy and we were watching baseball. And I told him I was getting uncomfortable watching baseball because I could see the bulge in the guy's pants. And I was very offended. Not even kidding. I was like, this is just, I can't, no. I said, I can't watch this. And I'd like walk into the next, the next room. I was such a prude. I got kicked out of my uncle's house for shaming everyone that they should be following the Bible, that they should be, da, 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 da. I was preaching everywhere, trying to get everybody converted. And, but I didn't, I guess what happened to me is I started to go for these massages. There was this woman who was kind of like she used to be related to the family that I married into, but she was now kind of an outcast because she wasn't actually related anymore. But I loved her. She had great energy. And she offered to give me discounted massages, full body massages. They were amazing. Oh my gosh, I missed those massages so much. And I'd go to her, and she would talk to angels. And so she was always she spoke in this loving voice, and she would massage me and say, "Now, Amy, have you recognized that when you say this about people, that there might be a part of you that understands that because maybe you've been that before, you know?" And I'd be like, "No, no, I would never lie to somebody. I would never cheat on somebody. I would never blah, 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 blah." And yet she's like, "Okay, okay, all right, all right. I'm just encouraging you to see yourself in these various situations that come up because I believe that God shows us things that need to be healed within us." Hmm. You know, I was very defensive with her at first, but it was her loving presence and the way that she was with me. She was so kind and loving and gentle and peaceful, and she would tell me things that and since angels were a part of the Bible, at least I was open minded to hearing what the angels said. She would say, "Well, do you want to hear what the angels are saying?" Okay. Okay. I'm open to angels talking. Not anything else, boy. If she would have said something else, I would have been like, guard up. But I was like, okay, what do the angels say? Well, they say that you need to learn to love yourself. What do you mean, love myself? I do love myself, and I live by the word of God, and blah, dee, 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 you know? And so I mean, I get, oh my gosh, she would probably like be like, "Oh my gosh, Amy, you were like so hard to work on for, with that stuff." But it took probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 years of these massages, going back to her almost every week, sometimes a couple times a week. And just, she broke me down with her love. She just totally broke me down with her love. She was unconditionally loving. And then she started to even say things like, "Well, our world is run by just a few elites." And I'd be like, "What do you mean?" So she was telling me like some truths that were going on too about our world. She'd even talked about Nasara back then. This was so many years ago. And I'd just be like, huh. So I just became more and more open-minded, and the more that I loved myself, and I'd be like, "How do you love yourself? What do you mean?" So I started actually asking her questions, and I started to be more, okay, all right. So what do you do if you don't do what I'm doing? Then what do you do? If you don't talk to like gossip about other people and have all this drama going on, what do you do with your friends? What do you talk about? She'd be like, "Well, we inspire each other about wonderful stories about things that we want to do, or things that we do that go really well, or synchronicities or magical things that are happening or miracles that are happening in our lives." And I'm like, "Isn't that boring?" So I would say I just opened my mind and started loving myself. And once you start loving yourself, you can't wag a finger at anybody anymore because you don't. It's the way that you treat yourself inside is the way that you automatically will treat everybody around you. So I just couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't. And then I heard, okay, so this is so funny. I don't know why I'm bringing this up, but maybe some of you apparently need to hear this. I was listening to, I think it was Sue Johansson. She was talking about fantasies. She's a sex expert. She was talking about fantasies and she said, you know, the things that you fantasize about actually are not the things that you want necessarily in real life. So, like, you're thinking about some gang banging or something, right? It's not that you actually would want that in real life or would ever even do that. Or like if you're not a lesbian and you have lesbian thoughts, or if you're gay, you're not gay, but you have gay thought, whatever it is. It's not necessarily that you want to play that out in real life. It's just, I said it. So, whatever your thing is. Which she said, it's just your way of playing things, playing things out. Hi, Undine. You came in the perfect time. Billy. Yeah. So she's just like, it's just a part that it's something that's playing out in you that needs to be played out. And so it's, yeah, I've arrived at the right time. No kidding. So, so yeah, it's like, and all of a sudden it clicked. She's like, don't judge yourself for whatever you fantasize about. Don't judge yourself for that. And that was a big one for me. So when I was able to do that, then that was like the ultimate love for myself. I thought, whoa, because I was like one of those people back in my Bible times. I was like, if I were to be with a guy or when I was with a guy, don't you even fantasize about another woman. That's cheating. And my mind just kind of opened up after that. And I thought, okay, so your fantasies don't actually have any kind of relevance or have any kind of indication of anything actually going on in real life. It's just kind of like dreams. You have these subconscious dreams where you're just working stuff out. It's the same thing. You're working stuff out. And after a while, your fantasy doesn't work anymore. Then you got to switch to a different one. Why is that happening? Same thing about why do you have dreams about your ex? Do you still want your ex? No. You're just recognizing that now, you would get along better with your ex because X, Y, and Z. Or now you would deal with the situation differently than you used to. So your dream is showing you that you've healed that. So you have a fantasy till you don't have that fantasy anymore. You go to a different one, and then that heals something. It's all part of what's supposed to be being. So basically, the point is to stop judging yourself about anything. It's all supposed to be there. It's all supposed to be meant to be. All the timing of everything is supposed to be meant to be. Everything is always just as it's supposed to be. All this crazy shit going down in our world right now, it's all supposed to be what it is. So we have to stop judging any of it. We have to stop judging ourselves for judging. We got to quit beating ourselves up about anything and just be like, well, I'm supposed to be judgmental right now. Okay. And when you accept that, all of a sudden it's like the judgment lifts off of you. It's so crazy how when you accept even your bad stuff or what you've done or what you should have done or any of that, like you take that away and all of a sudden it all just is. And then it just starts to really flow. Yeah. So just don't resist anything. Just always love yourself for whoever you are and however you're showing up right now. And you do have bad days, and you do have days when you're being attacked by black magic, and you want to judge yourself for that too. Or you have days when you have fantasies about something when you're with someone else, or whatever it is. You just gotta let it be what it is, and just love the heck out of yourself. The hand on your heart thing, like just putting your hand on your heart and activating it, and just being like, I love you even when you're mad. I love you even when you judge. I love you even when you let this affect you when you feel like it shouldn't. I love you even like, just be like your very, very, very best friend. Okay, so I think we should probably wrap it up anytime. Does anybody have any other questions? There are some videos on my website in the videos tab that I just feel like are really key videos that everybody should know if you want to take a look. Wait a couple seconds. You are welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for being here. And thank you guys so much for being a part of my life. Oh my gosh, I'm so, so lucky. I'm not talking about my fantasies. Hell no. Kimberly, how did you heal from PTSD and how did it affect your awakening? Oh, yeah. Okay. So back when I was diagnosed with PTSD, they wanted to put me on drugs and stuff. And I refused. There was a company, what was that company called? I don't know. There was a nutraceutical company, Manitech. Manitech had something called something plex or something that was like wild yams or something. So I learned about that product that you could take, and boy, that really helped a lot. It really helped a lot. It got me through. I mean, it was a lifesaver basically when I discovered that stuff. Um, so I took all natural products, and then I learned Byron Katie's work, and that was another lifesaver. That was huge. It's a big learning curve, but once you get good at it and once you get comfortable with it, it's life changing. And I just committed to doing Byron Katie's work every single day for 2 months, and it made all the difference. And all of a sudden, I just started lightening up about life and laughing at everything, and nothing triggered me. So it's absolutely doable, but you have to get on top of your thoughts because it's your thoughts that torment you and trigger you. So you got to do something to unwind the tightness in your brain. Something that you do on a regular basis that kind of deprograms your brain and resets the neurotransmitters because your neurotransmitters make you react a certain way every time. So if there's something that makes you just automatically go there every single time, you got to reprogram your neurotransmitters. And that's something that does it. It works against it every single time you do Byron Katie's work. It just unravels, 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 unravels every single time, every single day. And then eventually it just stops. Listening to your wisdom and getting some sun rays. Needed to go outdoors. Oh, good. How awesome. So I might do a blessing for you guys to help you in whichever area you need right now, whether it's these wonky energies and how crazy it is right now, or with anything I've talked about that you feel like would be helpful to you. Let's see. Ray says, would you mind tapping into Himalayan salt again in regular salt form in lamps? Good or bad for us? Does it come from what I understand, if you do some research on the Himalayan salt lamps or salt, they're actually the pink comes from some kind of hazardous waste, some kind of biohazard. I don't remember what it was, but it's like, I don't know, red stuff, red toxic stuff that spilled into the sand that turned it pink, and they're using that as a like good healing thing for us. So yeah, I use a Celtic sea salt. Maybe they'll start making some Celtic sea salt lamps. That'd be cool. So I feel like that's the best kind to use right now. Himalayan sea salt. Is this true? Yeah. Does it have hazardous material in it? Yeah, it does. Oh, and remember too the trick of whenever you go to a store. Okay, cool. I'll do that. When you go to the store, um, try to have like a yes or no or an approve or disapprove symbol. Like I get a green check mark for an approved, and I get like a red X down in this corner for not good to take. Don't take that because going forward, we don't know. Like one box of cereal might be good for us to have or okay for us to have, and the next one has somebody's tampered with it somehow or something. It's, gotten exposure to something. So when you pick a box up or a can up at the store, just real quick, imagine either a green check mark or a red X on it. And that can be a quick way that you can tap into your intuition with whatever you buy. So you might pick up a Himalayan salt lamp and you might get a green check mark. And if you do, then that one's okay, apparently. Maybe it doesn't have as much of the stuff in it, or maybe the benefits would outweigh or something like that. So I wouldn't have any kind of general rule about anything right now because like I said, like everything is different and unique in some way, or could be the potential of it. So pick up the product, and is it a green check mark or is it a red X? And go by that. Okay, guys, so just relax and drop your shoulders. It was nice hanging out with you. I love you guys so much. I'm so lucky or so blessed to have you guys as clients. I sometimes I get done with my readings for the day and I'm just like, man, I just so incredible that I know these people. These are just such beautiful, beautiful people. And so many of you I've known for so many years, and it feels like family. So thank you so much. Okay, 24 and 24. So 24 might mean something to you guys. Also, if you add 4 and 2 is a 6, and 6 sometimes can be like going into the physical, like actually touching someone. So this is kind of more like touching me, when normally it would be like I'm just talking at you and it's recorded. So kind of cool. Aw, having you is the biggest blessing. Thank you. And the laughs we get in our sessions here, or the sessions I know. That was so funny. I'll never forget that. That was just the greatest. Oh my gosh. I'm not even gonna. That was so funny though. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'll do this again at some point. Spirit told me to do it at the beginning of the week, and I was like, well, okay. I haven't done that for a while. Bye bye, gang bangs. Oh, Lord. Okay. Relax your shoulders. Take a deep breath. I'm glad you like it. Thanks, Bill. Thanks for being here. Himama sheshe na taike sa se hela na poma an hai sheshin ke na ai ho pobo hola na ha ken che la esanse ho ho la ana pempema o shishinki na tai san hala ashan tai pu pompa shikin hala sanse he na un ha papama la kere in tatai. Whew. Lots of love to you and everyone in the chat. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for being here. I'm glad you had fun. Yay. I love you guys. Sending you a big giant hug. Have yourselves a beautiful, beautiful weekend. And I will talk to you all later. Bye.